Boom. There we go. Hey guys, good to see y'all again from this morning. Hopefully, let me put a little Facebook video up and let everybody know we're going live real quick. I'm waiting on Brandon to join us. I just sent him the email, so hopefully he'll be getting with us here soon. All right, we are live, everybody. If y'all see this, what's up? I'm waiting on y'all to join in and see this. Bad Moon Rising, Anthony Peter, what's up? I'm going live on the. I'm going live on the Dave. Again, there you are. I cannot wait for the show we're going to give these guys and the gear you've got to show them. That is unbelievable. So you guys are in store for Dave for when me and Dave hook up. Absolutely amazing. I'm already excited. I'm literally chomping at the bit to get on it. I've had to light a cigar to cool my nerves. Chris Howells, it's nice to see you, brother. I'm going to be emailing you later on. I've got to talk to you about something big. Those of y'all that don't follow Howells.history, I recommend y'all do so. He doesn't necessarily cover SOG, but he does get into Vietnam, and he covers some very important historical facts. I wonder where dadgum Brandon is. We'll figure that out in just a moment. Let's see here. Okay, Dave's waving. Yeah, Dave, I can't wait. Michael fell down. Hey, brother. Jay, nice to see you. I'm got the show going on YouTube. I meant not YouTube, up on live stream. I'm waiting on Brandon to join me. So y'all just hang on a second. I think I need to resend him an email because I'm not getting anything back from him. I ordered a book on a subject we're going to be covering, Lima Site 85, and I got a new set of headphones and a microphone, so maybe y'all be able to hear me a little bit better and everything will work out a little bit. Oh, here comes Brandon. There he is. There's Brandon. I don't have to get off after all. Brandon's joined us. All righty. Well, guys, I'm about to devote my attention to the computer screen here. I'm going to leave this up streaming in case y'all don't jump on over here on on YouTube and watch. I'll let y'all check it out until I have to get on my phone to look up some information and stuff. So I'll leave this going for a bit. Rory, good to see you, brother. Dave's with us. First off, how are you doing, Brandon?
Doing pretty good.
Good. Let me turn some volume up here. Let's see. There we go. All right. It was something I was gonna say. Oh yeah, for those of y'all interested, before we even get into it, for the thumbnail on this video, Brandon, I don't know if you guys even saw it or got to see it, but it's a very interesting one, and probably one of the more sadly infamous cases of a SOG man going MIA / or becoming a POW. And I use that as our thumbnail, but it's not there's not many photos out there of Madison Starline, and this is one of him actually in the field doing immediate action drills when he was at CCN with RT New Jersey. So let me show you all this. And then I'm going to let Brandon take over. And here we go. Let's see. This is Madison right here. He is quite the stud. this is him, Madison Strawline, with his RT outside CCN compound at Marble Mountain. He is MIA, the only known loss as a result of a halo parachute jump in a combat operation. Photo by Bill Deasy. I'm in contact with Bill's brother. His brother was in the Mike Force. What is it? Bill DC, and God, he's gonna kill me for not knowing his name. But there's two DC brothers, and I might can get him to come on. But they've got a lot of great photos. But another all of the Halo incidents were just extremely perilous. If you ever read about I've learned a lot speaking to Sammy, and it's amazing that man's still alive. He's like the Forrest Gump also of SOG. He's done some amazing things, and his incidents with the Halo jumps are just perilous. But I wanted to show you all that's what our thumbnail for the day is for the show. But Brandon, while I'm getting our MIA list up, and I've also got a story of when we finally recovered Sergeant Boyer and from RT Asp. I've got that on the brought up to where we can look over that. Pat Watkins, he was actually one of the deaths at the August 23rd, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to check on that when he first met Brian. Let's see. Hang on one second. Launched into Thailand. Yeah, actually, they were inserting Air Force sensors, and they got overrun in Laos. But nonetheless, that we'll cover that later on. While I'm getting everything situated, Brandon, why don't you speak a little bit about the SOG MIA stuff we're going to be covering today, if you don't mind.
Good morning, everyone. Today's topic will focus on the POW MIA issue with a, shall we say, a side story or a branch off to the Macvsog men that are missing. This includes recon team members, air crew, pilots, and support personnel that went missing from the Secret War of 1964 to 1972. And as of last current count, there are 131 SOG personnel still missing as a result of the Vietnam War. Primarily, most of the men that went missing in Laos and Cambodia. But we also have on this list today some very early POW MIA names from operations that took place in Laos from 1959 to 1962 under the names of Hotfoot and WHITESTAR. I just found a great book on it's historical fiction.
I just bought that book, as a matter of fact. That's coming in with the new microphone and headphones I've got. I bought the moment you sent me that link to that book. I bought it.
I look forward to reading it. What's neat about this list is that not only does it give basic information, name, and date of loss, it also kind of gives a brief description of what happened to a particular person, and if available, kind of what their status was at the time of loss, whether they were captured, killed, body not recovered, and so on.
Absolutely. Let me get this a bit on the main screen there. I'm gonna have to zoom in for everybody to see this. Oh. I bumped that off. I'm sorry about that, guys. Hang on one second. Now this, let me go ahead and be up front with this. Now this does have the the SOG, KIA, MIA, but this list in particular does not have the airmen being listed, if I'm not mistaken. We'll find out real quick, but as far as I know, I believe this is just recon men. And the issue with this is it looks like we're going to have to because I don't know if the folks on the screen can read this as well as me, as well as I can. Brandon, can you read this, or am I going to need?
No, you're going to have to enlarge it.
Okay. The problem is we're going to have MIA, all of the listing. Let's see if I can cut it. Hang on. Is that any better? I know I'm going to have to.
Just a little bit bigger, and I think you'll be good.
It's going to be a bit wonky here because whatchamacallit, the issue of cutting off names, dates, and where they were found and all that. So what we'll do is I'll end up, let me go through here and go through the first, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections. And let me go ahead and give you an update on, because I'm going to zoom in to where on this far right side, it's going to give the details of what, how they went missing, what they were doing, if they were White Star, and such as that. So let me read their category and the location, and I believe that the date of loss will still be visible. So let me just read that real quick, and then I'll zoom in for us, and we can take care of that real quick. And also for the first names on this 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, they're about 9 or 10. So for Samuel Almenendez, he was a master sergeant. He went missing in Laos in July of 1967. He was killed in action, but the body was not recovered. Frank Badalati, staff sergeant, 29 of June 66, South Vietnam. He was actually in South Vietnam, as we'll see, reading KIA BNR. Actually, to be honest with you, all of these men were BNRs. And to let you know, with locations, all of them are in Laos, except for 4 of them being in South Vietnam. So I'm going to zoom in now, and that way we can read a little bit better of what's going on here. How are you able to read? How's that looking on your end?
For me, a little bit bigger. It's I'm getting older.
Let's see here. How's that looking?
A little bit more, and I think we're good.
All right, I'm gonna have to switch the main
there we
screen
go.
because
I got it now.
I can't read. There we go. I'll have to switch back over and read and all that, because it's gonna be a issue getting this to read correctly. All right. Do you want to read the first 2, and I'll go through the second 2?
You mean the first 2 columns? That's fine.
Yeah, the first 2 gentlemen. Yes, yeah.
Okay, so you did the first 2, correct?
Yeah. Well, let me finish up with. I'll do the first 2.
Okay.
Almenendez was at FOB 1, which was at Fubai. He was with ST Georgia. He was mortally wounded in an attack on the team. They were ambushed. The sole surviving team members pulled out by Billy Waugh. Bright lights were sent in. They searched all week long, but no remains were found. Staff Sergeant Badalati was a member of B-52, aka Project Delta, and was on a Project Roadrunner team, which is what they were doing early on, kind of like SOG would do later on. They were in full NVA regalia, the coolie hats, the sandals, the black PJs, the whole 9 yards. So he came under attack in Binh Dinh province, and he died while team was evading enemy, and the enemy had to hide his body and move on from the rest of the team being captured or killed. Brandon, how about you take the next two?
Okay, we have Master Sergeant Raymond Bruce Baxter. Went missing 9 November 1967. Part of CCT or CCC. Just says RT. It does not indicate what particular team picked up for extraction by Jolly Green, which crashed and burst into flames. Remains found and ID'd next day, but were never recovered. So it sounds like in that case they went in, found the bodies, and maybe got shot out from doing that and couldn't go back and get them. That's what that sounds like. The next
Which happened all too often.
The next one is Harold George Bennett, 29 December 64. Sergeant First Class, MacV advisor, taken POW in 1964 during a firefight. In June 1965, he was the first POW to be executed in retaliation for his actions in Vietnam. There's a connection to his case and another American, Captain Roberto, I want to say you pronounce his name Versace, who was captured in 1965 and also executed, and his body has never been recovered. I just thought of a point of information that's not made clear here, but for all these names that are listed especially under the rank category, these ranks are either the rank they were when they went missing or possibly what they were promoted to while in POW MIA status, because until the government officially declares military personnel dead, for example, POWs were promoted every 4 years to the next rank. So you might have been shot down as a captain or captured as a captain, and you spend 4 years, say you spent 4 years as a prisoner of war, you go home as a major. Or in some cases, we have guys that jumped at least 2 ranks and return home as full bird colonels or captains or in the Navy and so forth. Just thought I would point that out.
Absolutely correct. And if I'm not mistaken, as well as earning the Medal of Honor, Stockdale was promoted to a flag officer, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
That's what I thought. A lot of the guys, especially the officers, well, most of them were promoted, but especially the flag officers in the Air Force and the Navy, they were promoted to flag officer rank if they were in the running, so to speak. I'm trying to find Bruce Raymond, his recon team. The name sounds extremely familiar, and I'm honestly thinking he was a part of RT Arizona when they ended up having to call in an airstrike on their position. I'll be verifying that because I'm trying to pull up the link to it now, and I'll keep us abreast of that as we go along, just to keep it straight. But as we're moving on, we've got. Did you end up reading? You got to Mr. Bennett, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And in 64, let me go to the big screen to see. I believe he's one of the gentlemen that were that was executed or captured in South Vietnam. I'm going to zoom out just a bit so no one freak out. I'll zoom back in. Yes, at 64, he was captured in South Vietnam. And next one is Laos and South Vietnam. So let's go. Let me get back to my main screen here, and we will look at this. I hate to do this. I'm reading in between. James Masters, Eddie Georgia, Raymond, Echeverria. Sadly, no. I thought it was. I thought it was Arizona, but it's not. I'll find it while we're talking. This is the next gentleman is Gerald Biber, not Bieber, Biber, Gerald M. Biber. He was a project of Operation White Star, which was essentially what you see today with foreign internal defense and training. And he was a member of MAG, which was the forerunner, the granddaddy of SOG, which was Military Assistance Group. And then after that, it became MAGV. And then after that, it became Macvsog. Members of MAGV team that came, got to zoom out to read that a bit, that came under attack, tried to escape in an armored car, but it was attacked and the crew captured. Fate unknown. So this is very, very early on in Laos. And what do you think about that before I go to the next one, Brandon? I would say he, my guess would be he didn't leave Laos. He was probably executed. But if he did leave Laos, he went to North Vietnam. What are your thoughts on that?
I would venture to agree with you on your first point. A lot of, if you historically read about the Pathet Lao and their handling of POWs, they did execute. I don't have an exact number, but they did execute a lot of prisoners. As far as that was their policy, unless it was, a high-ranking person or somebody with some sort of knowledge that would benefit their cause, either with the North Vietnamese or the then Soviet Union or anything like that. But I know that his name was not on any list in 1973. So he either died in captivity or was executed, or, as we are talking about, is still missing all these years later. And in Laos, there's a special case because the soil is different there. And if his remains are buried somewhere, say just in dirt, I mean, not like an actual gravesite or something like that, over time, the soil has probably decayed to the point where they may not be able to even find anything to identify if they ever do find his remains.
Exactly. The acidic soil inside Laos is just doing us a great disservice to find our men for their family. I did manage to look up something for Bruce, Mr. Raymond Baxter. He was Massachusetts young man. His loss of coordinates is in Laos. As of 73, he's still not recovered, but he has been listed as killed. The one of the men in the on the recon team was awarded a Medal of Honor, so that'll help us figure out what team this was. But right now, it's got just Spike team leader it's just random Spike team out of FOB1, aka Fubai, along with 6 indigenous team members. It evidently got real bad out of control because they ended up having to call the Jolly Green 26 of the 37th Aerospace Rescue and Recovery Squadron, which were the bad boys that ended up coming to help RT Alabama and Lynn Black on their day of of madness. So what we'll do is now next name before I pass it back to Brandon will be Mr. Klaus Bingham. And I actually know several gentlemen who are very close and knew Klaus, and he was quite the recon man. And Klaus's nickname was Fester. If you ever see a picture of him, there's a good one of him with his handlebar, big thick mustache, but he was a good man. He was I believe German born. He just all around good guy. Lost his life on 71. RT Asp, although I'm almost Klaus Bingham. Yeah, actually Klaus was not Fester. That is RT Kansas. I'm forgetting his name. I'll get it because he's on this list as well, and I'll recognize it. But he was with CCN RT Asp, legendary team that was actually reincarnated several times. They were inserted on the 3rd of May without incident, never heard from again. Usually standard operating procedure, even at that time, especially by 71, is you get off the aircraft, you go, you wait till the aircraft leaves, you hunker down, wait 15, 20 minutes, you give them the okay so the helicopter can keep going. And evidently from reading this, they did that. And after that initial everything's okay, they were wiped out, which makes me to believe that they were inserted into an area that had already been told about the leak, and or it could be a counter recon team. Other remains of team members, Lou Walton, were found and buried in 2007, although Luttrell and Bingham are still unaccounted for. Just absolutely sad. Some of this next man is a legendary man. I'll let you take this over, Brandon. Let me zoom back in real quick for you. Oh, there we go. How's your site going here for Mr.
No, we're good. We're good. We're good right there.
All righty.
Yep. So we're on, let's see. Here we go. Okay. So we have November 13th, 1968, Captain James D. Burcham, FOB2, RT10, ambushed, broke his ankle and frag wounds, evading. Team extracted by McGuire rig, but not enough strings, so Burcham hung on. Oh, there we go. Let's see. Let me find my place here. Let's see. Hung on the back of the
one of his men.
Let's see here. Here it is. For 30 to 45 minutes, then fell 2,500 feet. Exact location not known. His body was never found.
Yeah, he was Captain Burcham grabbed on, I forgot the recon man, but he was hung on the back of his pack, and the pack ended up coming loose, and the captain ended up, and the captain and the pack ended up falling. And that recon man, I know, I'm not going to mention his name, he's private, but he's still haunted by that image of seeing Captain Burcham grasping out for him and trying to get to him. Just a terrible, terrible incident, which happened all too much in SOG. And here we go with another White Star. These White Star guys were amazing individuals, as Brandon will show you.
22 April 61. Sounds like a similar case with the other gentleman based upon the date. We have White Star Laos, member of MAG Military Assistance Advisory Group. Team came under attack, tried to escape in an armored car, but was attacked and crew captured. And it says fate unknown. So very similar to the previous one we've discussed. I believe it's the exact incident. Just another gentleman.
Absolutely. And like you said earlier, I'll be sure to make sure I get some links out to the videos and everything. The POWs, We Can Keep You Forever, and Miss Herdlicka's speeches and DVD, but not DVD, but her video. Mr. James Burcham was the captain for RT California. He actually was on Joe Walker's team. I'm not sure if he had taken over. No, he had not taken over. This is another interesting thing of SOG. Joe Walker is a staff sergeant, and he is the 1-0 with a captain on his team. So Captain Burcham was a member of RT California under Joe Walker. But very good soldier. It's going through this, you'll see there were just horrible incidences of cables busting, choppers getting caught up in trees, just stuff like that. Just bad luck. We've got another Laotian loss early in '61. John Bischoff and White Star. The MAG team came under attack. They tried to E&E, but in an armored car, but it was quickly attacked, and the entire crew was captured. Fate unknown. I'd be willing to bet, and I'd be anxious to hear Brandon's thought. But most of these early ones with the fate unknowns, most of them I have a feeling were executed on site.
I would imagine. I would imagine so, because that early and with the involvement of Laos in '61, there may not have been as much structure with the Path That Lao as far as directives, because the North Vietnamese were already in Laos at that time in '61, advising the Path That Lao, and that early, as I said, there probably was not much of a structure compared to later years in the what will become the Secret War.
Absolutely. I'm trying to pull up a thing. The Path That Lao is a that they were notorious that they were extremely ruthless. That they any American I greatly my sympathies go out to them, because they were the NVA were bloodthirsty and evil individuals, but at some point sometimes they would respect the SOG men and respect the mission they were doing, and not go evil and mutilate and do things like that. But the Path That Lao, they were a different subject. They were evil people, and 9 times out of 10, when they came across an American earlier on in the war, they were executed. They weren't keeping anyone. And like Brandon said, this was before the NVA they didn't ever rope them in, but they kind of got them under control. So it's terrible. The next man we're going to be covering today is Sergeant First Class Charles Bookout. He's a very legendary SOG man. If I'm not mistaken, he was at CCC to begin with. I'm trying to believe. Let's see. I think for a while he was on RT Colorado at CCC, but he transferred to CCN. He was basically, they were sent out. This is at the height of it was getting ready for Lamb Sum 19, coming up in the 70s, and he was in Laos, away from the Ashau in the Saravine province near Laos, and they quickly were ambushed, and he was going for his radio, and he was quickly hit by a single bullet hole in the left side of his back. He tried to keep fighting, and about 10 minutes later, he stopped breathing. The medic came over, couldn't find a pulse. Due to the situation on the ground, as you can imagine, with everything, the intense fire, the team was instructed by the Covey to clear for extraction. You can only imagine what the SOG men go through their mind when thinking about that. Mr. Bookout was left behind because inevitably carrying a dead body would have slowed the progress and endangered the rest of the recon team. With the enemy situation the way it was so bad that there immediately no search teams were inserted to recover Sergeant Bookout, because the darkness and, like I said, the NVA were just everywhere. It's there's a lot of sad stories, and that's yet again another one of them right there. Brandon, would you like to take over for this next one here?
Sure. Okay, let me find my spot here. Okay, are we on
Mr.
Domingo?
Okay,
yes.
Mr.
Yes. Laos, 21 February 67, Sergeant First Class. Command and Control RT shot and killed, confirmed by 2 team members. Body left behind while team conducted E&E search. 5 days later, failed to recover his remains.
Terrible, terrible, terrible.
Next one is also Laos. We need to talk a little bit about this particular gentleman and another one that will appear on the list. Laos, 2 December 66, Master Sergeant Russell Peter Bott, B-52, Project Delta, day running. What is that? Is that bank? Is that what it says? Running battle. I'm sorry. Running battle. Stark wounded. That's the other gentleman. Bott requested exfil helicopter, shot down, killing 5. Search for Bott and Stark were unsuccessful. Thought that Bott was captured. I don't know if you want to discuss that particular document that you had sent me now, or do you want to do it with the actual POW MIA podcast? It doesn't matter. I mean, when we do it, but there's
for the record, Sergeant First Class Borgia was on RT Alaska. To let y'all know. Did I have I wonder where I've got the board, the bot.
I think I still have it in my text.
If you've got it, text it to me. And
okay.
I will
because pull it up. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you that when I saw that, and it's the first time I've seen something like that, it kind of made me just, sick, obviously, but it really shows that there's a lot of evidence out there that these people did not just disappear and die. So hopefully when we do the actual POW podcast, we'll expand on that. So
We absolutely will. And if you find when you find that, email it to me, and I'll bring it up. Even though we'll keep moving on, I'll jump to Mr. Boyle next. While you're emailing me that. And Mr. Boyle is a sadly, a well-known loss to Macvsog. He was a great medic with CCC. He joined in 1970. He started his first tour in 18 the 18th of August 1968. Sorry about that. He is actually he is actually let me see if I'm gonna have to re-pull it up. He is in a absolutely famous photo of Mr. Fred Zapatowski after a mission, and let me see if this is going to end up pulling up or not. If not, we'll fix. I'll get this fixed. But I think y'all need to see it. Mr. Boyle's a great gentleman. There it is, right there. Let me pull this up for everyone and switch the streaming. Stop sharing. I'm learning, guys. I'm learning how to finagle and move around through here. Don't want that because it's not loading right there. Come on, Sergeant Borges picture. Pull up. Basically, while this is coming up, there it is right there. I'll read y'all what the incident that he went missing on. Pull this up right here. That's him right there. This is in 1970. This is Fred Zabatowski. This is Bud Williams, and this is Bob Boyle, also known as Doc. And right here, let me close the picture. That's him as a younger lad up there. Doc Boyle was a medic with CCC. He joined the Army in 70. He was a passenger on one of the King Bees 219th CH-34s, was resupplying a mission, Operation Halfback. We're actually going to cover that. That's a very, very influential hatchet force operation in the tri-border area. Lieutenant Kennard and Sergeant Brinkmeyer, along with Spec 4 Lyndon Lambert, were aboard the helicopter as well. And it began getting close to its objective. Sergeant Boyle completed loading 5 wounded and 1 KIA into the aircraft as the aircraft lifted off. It was hit by B-40s and machine gun, causing an explosion and subsequent fires. The force of the explosion was so powerful that it ripped the cockpit and the cabin of the ship completely off, allowing the pilot and co-pilot to luckily escape. Just prior to rocket impact, Sergeant First Class Boyle observed working on patients inside the helicopter cabin that was burning on the ground, and was apparently trapped inside the aircraft and burned with it. The wrecked remains of the helicopter and surrounding area were checked thoroughly once the wreck cooled down. Searcher found the door gunner blown out of the ship by the explosion and 2 other indigenous personnel. The wreckage, which was burned to ash and surrounding area, searched several times for the body of Boyle and other troops, could not be found, sadly. Boyle was listed as KIA BNR. Terrible. This is actually the incidents when one of the incidents when Fred Zawitowski got burned extraordinarily badly going in to try and save his friend. It's an all around just terrible story. The next one, let's pull this up for Brandon. This next individual is a very, very historical individual. He actually ran recon with Where's my list here, guys? SOG MIAs. Well, I'm having having trouble finding it, y'all. Hang on one second. He was actually one of the individuals who ran recon with Dutch. Very, very. Dutch is a former. He recently passed away, and he was one heck of a recon man and a CIA officer. Okay, here we go. Brandon, why don't you take it away? We're on Sergeant Staff Sergeant Andrew Brassfield.
Let's see. Laos, 6 April 1970. Staff Sergeant. CCN RT Missouri 10. So he was the team leader. Attacked and he was fatally wounded. The team members were unable to recover his body. I'd just like to make a general comment here. I would have to double check the dates, but it sounds like his loss may have been part of Operation LAOS and 719, the South Vietnamese invasion of Laos in February of 71, in which the U.S. provided air support and obviously reconnaissance support. But we'd have to double check the dates as far as I know it started in February. I'm not sure when they finally decided to end it. So that there might be a connection there. And if it was part of LAOS and 719, then it's a huge loss as far as, for SOG, because during that time period, they lost quite a few guys because they were basically being used as bait to bait the NBA forces so that the South Vietnamese could conduct their missions on their own without actual U.S. ground support with conventional forces.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely. And if and I'm glad you actually even said the word bait, because there's a wonderful book from 1968 talking about Cam Duck, which was the first 1-0 school and a mobile launch site for SOG, talking about them using SOG and SF camps as bait to draw the NVA in to where they could use overwhelming air power to destroy the enemy. That was glad you mentioned that. That's a great book. Everyone should pick it up. But continue on. I hated to jump in there. One more thing about Mr. Brassfield. He was an African American. People keep asking me how many African Americans ran recon. There were quite a few African Americans who ran recon, and they were very good at what they did, or else they would not have been there. He was also one of, as Brandon indicated, he was a 1-0. He was also one of the first African American 1-0s and one of the first African Americans who went through Camp Longton's 1-0 school. So let that be known. That's the kind of individual you were dealing with Sergeant Brassfield.
Another Laos case, July 31st, 69, Spec 4 Michael Paul Burns, CCN RT, waiting for extraction helo, B-40 hit Captain Neal and Specialist Burns, possibly killing them. Remains left behind, and later search teams found no trace of them. So when I think about no trace, I'm wondering if the enemy just hauled their bodies off, took whatever usable gear they could get, and maybe they did bury them somewhere. We just don't know. If they did, we don't know exactly where.
Exactly. And I'm trying to locate our next man on the list, because very important incident that happened. Dick Thompson was associated with this man. Actually, two men went Captain Neal and Burns. How about you speak a little bit about that, and while you're speaking about Mr. Burns, I'll pull up some of the information on him, and we can better describe him a little bit.
It makes me think about our American Civil War of 1861 to 1865, and here's why. A lot of times when there were Union or Confederate casualties, they were buried where they fell, and they were most of the time they were marked with something. You know, if they could find out who the person was. So it's could sort of be like that in Laos and Cambodia. I mean, or as I said earlier, maybe their bodies were hauled off and they were buried elsewhere. Or maybe a villager found a body and buried it and marked it. But you know, we'd have to find the village and or villager to talk to them and say, hey, you know, do you know if this guy was buried at this particular place, or did you know? And as time goes on, as we said on Tuesday, people are getting older and we're losing the ability to interview these people, let alone if it's in Laos. Many of these people are still too scared to speak up about things that happened 50 or more years ago because they're afraid of retaliation from the Laotian government. I'd like to also say that the Pathat Lao still exist in Laos. They are still a military arm of that country. They weren't just active during the Vietnam conflict. They are still around.
That they are, and you know, it's you when we speak about the normalization of normalization of routines and stuff with Vietnam. I still this is what always brings me back. It's a whole thing unto itself.
And speaking of that particular point, Bud, I learned through research the other day that the United States, even after Laos was taken over by the communist Pathat Lao in 1975, the United States never severed diplomatic relations with Laos. So they only did that with Vietnam. As far as you know, not continuing to communicate with them after South Vietnam fell through an embassy or things like that. So just a little tidbit of information there.
Oh, that does it right there. I mean, that shows you one of let me see what we've got here. We're probably going to end up having to switch this into a because we're almost in an hour.
Two-parter. Yeah.
We'll get through this first list right here that'll end with Baby Son. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 people left, and we'll do a two-parter sometime this weekend, or the second install this weekend. But in July of '69, this one is you'll hear Dick Thompson speak about this. He actually mentioned this in one of the Jocko podcasts. I can't remember if it was 247 or 248, but Spec 4 Burns, and it's a double parter. Spec 4 Burns and Captain is it Randy? I need to get his name correct. Captain Captain Dennis. Dogs wanting some attention. Captain Dennis.
Guys.
They ended up. They were on a mission with Laos, and they were killed. The remains were. They had to be left behind. I've got a little more info on that. It was. Let me pull this up real quick. Captain Neil. Well, I did have some information. I apologize. Right. Let me pull this up. They were in Laos. They were doing a road watch of sorts. deeper, there's Dennis Neal right here. Let me switch this whole thing up to where y'all can see this. I like to show pictures and let people know who's who and what's going on here. This is Dennis Neal. He was one of the men that died that day. Oops, I've messed up and gone to a different one. There we go. As you can see, blah, 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 they are in Macvsog, blah, blah. On 31st, the team leader, Captain Neal, was the team leader. And on Instagram, I'll get this right for y'all. I should have already had. The next part 2, I will have team names. If they have team names, sometimes they don't have them correctly laid out. They were west of Way City, and the team had already completed its mission. We're awaiting extraction, along with the 4 Ended members. It was at this time they opened fire on 5 personnel crawling to their position to ambush them. The enemy signaled, and the result of enemy fire and B-40 rockets. The B-40 rockets hit the position, killing Captain Neal and Burns, 2 of the 4 indigenous, and as well as 2 of the 4 indigenous. The other 2 members were slightly wounded. Neal had a wounded chest. Burns was also wounded in the head by the same B-40 rocket blast. They were both seen laying on their back, dying and possibly dead by Pan and Coman. Coman is a famous indigenous member. I'll show y'all some pictures of him. He was quite the warrior. Pan and Coman turned to Neal to take off his equipment and his radio. And the last they heard an emergency radio transmit saying, "Help, help, help, for God's sake." The 2 commandos were finally extracted, and no trace of Neal or Burns were found. It was determined that they had in fact died, and they've been still classified as missing in action. But it would be safe to say with the B-40 rockets, the amount of the shrapnel and stuff that comes out of that rocket, it unfortunately it did kill them. So dang, I didn't share that with y'all at all. There's Captain Burns right there, or Captain Dennis Neal. B-40s are a dirty weapon, not meaning they're cheating or anything, but they're used by China. They've got bamboo wood in them and stuff like that. So if you get hit and it doesn't outright kill you, the infections that set in from the wounds are just going to be god awful, just absolutely god awful. And here we go. Jason, no, not Jason. It was James. Brandon, let me pull this up for you, and you take over for the next one.
Okay.
We've got 2 more after this for the part 2 here.
So we're ready for Johnny Calhoun, 27 March 68, Staff Sergeant, FOB-1 Fubai, RT-10, team leader, attacked. He took 3 rounds to chest/stomach, pulled the pin from a grenade, and clutched it to explode while his team moved. Due to hostile threat, no search possible. Think about this guy, thinking about him. If he pulled a grenade, there may not be much left to recover. So yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't even know. The DPAA, the Department of POW MIA Affairs, classifies these MIA cases into 3 categories: non-recoverable, on active pursuit, and deferred. So I would say that in this case, his would be non-recoverable. I mean, due to the damage that it says that he did to himself by pulling that grenade. But
how about that? That's Mr. Calhoun, and he is another Alabama boy. He enlisted in Georgia, but he was born in Roanoke, Alabama, which is about 3.5 hours north of me in Dothan. seems like Alabama's got some good something in the water, much like Trenton, New Jersey, with Tilt, Fred Zabatowski, Tom Moscovich, Paul Schoenberg, and some of those other guys. It's amazing. Oh wow, we've actually got some memos. I'm gonna need to save this so I can zoom in on this, y'all. I apologize. I'm returning the photograph you provided. I regret. No positive. That's from his wife. Let's pull this up real quick. This is about Johnny C. Calhoun. Sorry about that, y'all. Hang on one second. When you got so many windows open and all that, it can be quite confusing, y'all. So I am still ironing everything out and trying to get everything going. Well, heck, it says it's already up there. Let's see. Remove, bring that up. Share screen, window. All right. Nope, that's the same thing. Can't do that. I've really buggerbooed this, and I apologize to y'all watching. This is quite embarrassing for me to be doing this. For some reason, it doesn't look like. There we go. Can you see that, Brandon?
I can see it. I can see a report trying to load. Yeah. Oh, let's see. Yes. Photograph comparison analysis reveal or let's see, have been obtained on photographs provided by next of kin of your, is that command of your command maybe? Or
yeah, this is tying into exactly what you said when he pulled the grenade. This is a letter from his wife basically saying there's no way I can tell through, you're gonna have to do blood work and the like. I can't tell who it is. You know, I'd like to be able to help out, but like you said, when you pull a grenade, there's not much you can not much to identify.
and back then we didn't have the technology we have now. We couldn't have even pulled a DNA sample. So I mean,
no, you were best guessing and hoping you could find a tattoo or ring or what have you. You know, it was bad. We're gonna do right here. Howard Bruce Carpenter. I'll put a photo of him. I've got so many windows open it would take, and we're right here at the end of an hour. I'll put a photo of him up. He was from FOB1 Fubai. Good guy. I've spoken to men that served with him early on. He was a Hatchet Force member, and if I'm not mistaken, he ended up. Where was he worked a little bit with the FOB1 leader Schuler from FOB1. Great guys. They were as you can read, he was on the perimeter of a Hatchet Force operation, went to help a wounded man and was killed by his enemies. The remains were left because they had to get to a position because the onslaught just was overwhelming. So this is what happens, and it gets bad. Brandon, I'm going to read through these last two, and I'm going to let you close it up since we're running so long here. William Copley, he was on a one of the whatchamacallit, one of the snake teams at CCN, and delete that. Sorry, guys. I'm clearing all of this space because it is just loading down information on making the computer messed up. Mr. Copley, better known as Mike to all of his buddies and everything, he jeez Louise. I'm gonna pull up a picture of him when it comes up. His team was ambushed as a 1-1. The team carried him for as long as they could. The weight begins to get bad, especially when showing signs of death. As you can see, he had the 1-2 had to leave the body behind. For 3 days, they tried to search and recover him. But of course, by 3 days, they're going to be gone. After the NVA gets into a skirmish and they know they forced out an NVA, a recon team, they're going to search the area just like we would search the area when we put down a squad of NVA and the likes. So this is a picture right here of. Hang on 1 second of Mr. Copley. That's Baby Son's thing. StreamYard. Share screen. Mr. Copley. This is Mr. Copley. He's a Columbus, Ohio boy. Sadly, like I said, we lost him the 16th of November, 1968. He was leading as the 1-0. See, you got to check your sources. Some of these sources, obituaries mix things up and all that. But SOG sites are the best place to use. Roger Lowe, he was on a recon team, but was on the Hatchet Force at this time. He was the man that carried him. And sadly, they had to leave him, which is just absolutely devastating, as one can imagine. And now for, the last one, and I'll have to see who the second, the last one, which is Baby Son Davidson. We'll end up doing a complete special on him, Brandon. As you know, how well known Baby Son was and his exploits. He's one of probably 5 men that ran all of the CNCs from CCN, CCC, and CCS. He did everything, and he was much like Mad Dog. He was everywhere, and in fact, the person closest and right there at Mad Dog with missions run. I know for a fact Mad Dog did 100, and people have said he died on his 102nd or 101st mission. Baby Son, it is without a doubt, and it is verified that he went over 65. I believe he ran 67. And sadly, on this operation, which was a Halo operation with CCN RT Fer-de-Lance, which Fer-de-Lance is a mythical Vietnamese warrior. He had just transferred to CCN with Leon Sonnenberg and Bill Deasy, who we heard about earlier. And they were training for a Halo insert. And sadly, he was much like on the Navy SEAL movie. He was on a hill mountaintop, not making a phone call or anything like that, of course. But he was on a hilltop trying to figure out what to do, and was immediately shot and went down probably anywhere from 15 to 20 feet down into the crevice and lay motionless. It would be safe to say that Baby Son died. He not only from the gunshot wound, but the fall would have broken a back and at least killed him. And sadly, the team had to leave him behind, and that was a huge blow to the team. I'll let me pull this back up. Brandon, do you have anything you'd like to add before we close up and get ready for the second stream of this sometime this weekend?
I was just thinking to myself that as the particularly for the Macvsog guys, as the war went on, some of these guys, if I am not mistaken, became known to the enemy. For example, we go back to Mad Dog Schreiber. They knew about this guy. It wasn't like, I think I do remember reading somewhere that they had a wanted poster or leaflet or whatever it was for the capture or killing of Mad Dog. So some of these names that you hear, they were known to the enemy.
And we haven't even covered Mad Dog, so that's going to be a big issue, and not an issue, a big episode. And as y'all know, I'm working on a podcast with modern military history, and we're going to cover some stuff. And after that, so I don't step on toes and all that, I'm going to end up, me and Brandon are going to be talking about Mad Dog. We're going to cover a lot of people, but we're going to hold off on Mad Dog going into the weeds and getting deep on him until next month after that one airs and all that. And we'll be really getting into the nips, because there's that was just what 8 or 9 of the SOG missing, and there's much more. I mean, it's sad. It's not only for the military, for the men who knew these men and were friends with them, but you've got to think about the families. First of all, before I pass it back to Brandon to close us out, the parents of SOG men and the wives were under the assumption that they were training, which they were training South Vietnamese so they could go fight their own war. They had no idea that they were crossing the border and all of that. So anytime a man went missing, and I'll put up some awards one day next week or something like that, everything is in South Vietnam. Anything SOG did, LAOS awards, is written in South Vietnam. So parents had no way of knowing that their sons were and fathers knew that their sons were going into Laos. So you just have to really put your heart out there for the wives, husbands, family members of SOG recon men and the Air Force veterans and all of those that work to help SOG complete the missions they completed. Brandon, what would you like to add to that before we close it down?
I just also want to say that even to this day, it's very sad, not only for the Macvsog guys that are missing, but also just the indigenous personnel that worked with these men. Many of them, after the fall of Saigon in 1975, some of them were able to get back to the United States, or at least out of South Vietnam, but others were taken prisoner and put in re-education camps, and some eventually were able to go from there and get out of the country. But it's also sad that our government to this day doesn't offer things like veterans benefits or anything like that to these particular men that served for our country to fight with these men. And if you do some reading when you have some spare time, these men were phenomenal. They risked their lives not only on missions across the fence, but just they would do anything and everything to protect these Americans that they worked with. And it's just very sad that for the Montagnards, and there's so many other ethnic groups, and the Hmong and the Mio in Laos, and that we didn't do enough to help them once
left them hanging.
Yes, and there's the parallel there too with Afghanistan. In
Absolutely
2021, we left people that did their job and helped us, and so, as the saying goes, history repeats itself, and it's just very sad.
And if it doesn't repeat itself, it sure as hell repeats a lot of the same notes, as Mark Twain used to say.
So, but and as we said on Tuesday, a lot of these men that we've already gone over today, they may never be found, but just getting their names out there and their story, hopefully someone will take interest and go, maybe I want to learn more about this. And even if, we just get the word and the message out and get more people to take an interest in not only Macvsog, but this whole POW MIA issue, it just renews faith that people care enough to at least learn about this stuff. So, and I, as well as Bud, welcome any questions. I'm really enjoying this. This is really new to me. But I'm really enjoying it, and I've been putting the word out about our first podcast, and people have been really enthusiastic about it. So it's to me, it's a lot of fun as a retired social studies teacher. This is, research to me was kind of fun, especially if it was military stuff. So I'm really looking forward to doing more of this topic, as well as other ones that we've mentioned or talked about. So
absolutely, man, me too, and I couldn't have said it any better than you did right then. I just can't wait for what the future holds. We've got some SOG men that are going to come on. We've got some authors that are going to come on, and we're going to eventually have some of y'all on to come on and talk about some of the stuff that's near and dear to y'all's heart. Hey, Red, how are you doing, buddy? It's good to see you. Haven't heard from you in a while. This is the new channel I'm running for the SOG guys. Thank you for the support. It means a lot. This is Brandon, one of my good buddies on here. He's very knowledgeable on Vietnam, and especially the POW MIA issue. And this is what we're covering today. You came in right at the end. I hope you'll watch it, and we'll have a part 2 coming out. But for everybody else, we're gonna close it down today, and be looking out for today's Friday, maybe tomorrow, maybe Sunday, depending on Brandon's schedule. We'll get another list of names off from that sad list, and get them covered, and get them the due diligence they deserve. So there's nothing else, Brandon. I'm gonna sign off, and we'll be in touch later today.
Sounds good.
All righty, brother. I hope you have a good lunch, and everybody be safe. Whenever y'all watch this, good morning, good afternoon, and remember to thank a veteran, support a veteran, and thank y'all for all y'all do. Y'all be good, and me and Brandon will be in touch with y'all. God bless.